Good afternoon, friends. It is always a little pinch of salt that I, at times, in the last 4.5 years of my first term, agreed to attending such events. I normally do not. This being an exception, there are certain matters in relation to this. A very good theme, adapt to change. How does one adapt to change when one does not even know where one is right now? If you don't realize where you live, how you should live, and what you, as part of your community, is deserving to commit for the greater interest of nation building. Adaptations can only happen, change can only happen when you realize the reality that is before you. Today, the NSUM, under the presidency of Shri Mr. Tokshe Awami, has worked hard because it is not normal times. But there is always one factor which confuses me, an irony which exists among all young generation Nagas or tribals of the Northeast today. Are we caught in a time warp? At the same time, are we trying to move ahead before even realizing where we are? Change is a must, like the previous speaker, my esteemed colleague, Honorable Speaker Naga has spoken. There are certain things that one carries in one's heart, always. And that is the little bit of truth that one carries, one always possesses. There are 3 factors to this which I would like to share, especially with my young friends, especially Nagas, and in general, friends who have come from across the country. Without truth, one cannot trust. And without trusting, one cannot sacrifice. These are the 3 major factors in nation building: truth, trusting, and sacrifice. And it cannot be done so by one person. You may have a prime minister saying everything that one intends to do, but when the people don't go stride by stride with that leader, everything is worthless. It is the masses that change the face of history. It is not one man. The electoral form of democracy in India is such that it is representative form of democracy. Young students, young friends, without sacrifices, you do understand that there is no future. We are so caught up today, this is my experience, as a little older than you, and so very rightly a theme for me, because 50 years of Mumbai, I have just hit 50 years too, so that's, you see, combination of 2. And this is why I felt that it was even more demanding that I come and share my life experiences of 50 years, and whether there is truth to it, and whether there is trust in it, and whether there's been any sacrifices in it. Without that, I would not dare stand here before you. having something inside, intending something else, speaking out something else, and actions different is always what politicians in India have been doing till date, including me. It is the young generation that can actually change that. You have to change that. You cannot complain. You have no right to complain. This is India. The sooner you learn where you are living, how your rights are actually protected through your representatives, you have no right. It is your representatives. The very term of honorable that is given to the representatives is because they represent you. They are nothing. They really are nothing. They're just human beings and just another citizen. But when you are carrying the desires, the aspirations, the dreams, the commitments, the convictions, the rights of each electorate, and those who are not yet ready to cast their vote, families, communities, regions, states, they elect the leaders. What I wish to exude today to my young NSUM friends and others, adaptation to change can happen when you understand that it is through your active participation in your electoral democracy that you understand that you need better leaders, that you understand that to actually have that change, that the elect that you are sending across, it is that man that will stand for you. When you just elect any damn person, that person, since he's a damn person, will not give a damn for you. With your prayers and your thoughts, with your education, with your families in mind, with the country, the nation in mind, with the people in mind, you participate. This is my message to youngsters. Things cannot evolve overnight. Before me, Tokshe has said very clearly about the eminent personalities who have passed out from Mumbai. Among those, I have been very fortunate because I was born and brought up in the present day Nagaland state. KL Chishi, HK Sema. These are personalities who have personally affected our lives, all of the time ready to stand up when one is at one's most distressing, lowest ebb in life. KL Shishi was always there for our family. I know HK Sema, Justice HK Sema, when he was Justice in Guwahati High Court and he was presiding the bench in Manipur as part of the delegation judge in charge, released my father, who was actually arrested without any charges because of trying to negotiate on certain terms as to why governments should not be pulled out, and because of those negotiations which the government had sent across, without any preconditions, having the courage to stand up and say, you release the person without thinking. Because my father was being charged under NSA, he dared to release, because it was president's rule those days. He released him, and yet he rose and become one of the highest judicial luminaries of our people. He stood for the truth, and God stands with those who stand for the truth. It is that truth that took him to the highest offices of this nation. Young friends, normally when I do go and speak anywhere, I always give a short exhortation, but today, with time being a huge limitation, but It is always with sense of gratitude that I give all of my thanks to my Creator for bringing me here today in this position, not who I am, but what I was born into. Like the compeer had said just now, I was a very, very ardent music lover, sacrificed my entire academic career for music. I traveled the length and breadth of the nation and led a life which is, I think, most displeasing to most parents. But I had parents and grandparents who cared, always believed and understood that God is God. And the unseen is what has made me what I am today. I am just a circumstance of mercy and grace because my parents believed, my elders believed, and God gave me a chance to actually work for my people. The profession, noble though it seems, the actions that we as leaders always execute is seldom noble. It is always intentions, filled with intentions of dispossessing, with intentions of greed, with intentions of trying to misdirect. Never, most of the time, with a clean heart and with a clear direction. It is time, 50 years I think is more than enough. We see such young children who are excelling in their respective lines, be it in art, be it in science, be it in whichever line. Greatness is never measured by the position one holds. This is what my father always tells me. Greatness always is, and always, I repeat, is a person, wherever designated, committing one's life in and for the progress of society. That is the greatness that every human should aspire to be. Don't aspire to be in a position which will be worthless to you, because a chair without commitment and conviction, morals and character is worthless. I stand as a witness and a testimony to all the young friends. All of the changes that India is going through, the Nagas in particular, and the tribals in general from the northeast, embracing what can rightfully be yours and what is rightfully yours, and living with it, and being the engine for that change that we are about to adapt to, is what would be most important. Change cannot just come automatically. People embrace that change. And individuals cannot embrace change or adapt to change alone. It is communities across boundaries, across artificial boundaries which are man-made for administrative conveniences. We have our brethren, brothers and sisters, across international boundaries and across state boundaries in this country. I think it's time that we learn to actually call ourselves one. Here in NSUM, since the last year's pandemic and this year, I have heard of the community coming together day in and out, working with the limited resources to try and ensure that not a single family is left out. Thank you, NSUM. Thank you for what you did last year. What you have done last year is exemplary. You have worked, you have committed. This message, would it not be possible to take back home, where our base is, where our foundations, where our roots are, telling them that we live as one. We are one family. We are one people. If it is just going to be a nomenclature of speaking Naga and being one, does it mean that I am more Naga than the ones who don't speak Nagamese? You tell me. Never deviate from the truth, no matter how it hurts. Speak it out. People believe in the truth and people forgive when you speak the truth. When you try to hide your colors and people find out, when humans, they seldom forget. We are all mostly young. People say the youth are the future. Today I give you one message. The sad irony of life today is, with regard to our people, we are so caught up with our today that you cannot see that you have sold out your tomorrow. This is the pain that I carry. And I will carry this to the grave till such time our young friends, especially those who are really, really young, and those who can still come back to a collective inclusiveness. Nagas have always been known to be inclusive in thought and in actions. That inclusiveness within our own people is fragmented. We don't have that. God has always said, learn to live as one. The next biggest commandment after revering our God is learning to love your neighbor as yourself. We are not neighbors. We are brothers and sisters, not even neighbors. Our neighbors may be mainland Indians, maybe the Assamese. We are one. Are we speaking, acting, living as one? Maybe here in Mumbai, during the pandemic you have. But in the most trying times, if we are not, we have failed ourselves as children of God, and that way it's better that we forsake our Christianity, because we are exactly saying that there is no God. So if you wish to say that there is no God, everyone is free. This is a secular country. This is a very plural country. We are free to do as and what we want. But as the times of our forefathers that have brought Christianity to us and made us believe that there is one God and one God who guides us, and that God who is compassionate, who makes us understand what it is to be one. Without that oneness, I don't know what it is that we are going to adapt. What change you are going to adapt. We have to actually start living as one, to be able to move forward together as one, to be able to start adapting with the changes that are before us. Everything is before you to conquer. But that conquering, all of those limitations and those balances can only be done so when we come together as one, as a community. Today, a most auspicious and beautiful day, 50 years of celebration. The lady who spoke, Ate Kevichusa, I was going around with her for about 3-4 months during my music days. I'm sure she'll curse me like hell when she hears this later on. I think she's still single. I'm fortunate that I have, twin daughters, or 3 now. I got married late. I would like to wind off by giving this to you. Sacrifices, when the intentions are clean, sacrifices, I repeat, when the intentions are clean and clear, and it is indeed a sacrifice. It is only God that knows that it is a sacrifice. And that is why I end with this Bible verse. David had passed it on, experiencing the life that he led. He spoke and he said, I was young, but now I'm old. Yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, or his seed begging bread. You see, this is a testament of one of the greatest kings of our people. This is exactly what I feel. As Christians, we believe in the Word. I have never gone and spoken in a pulpit in my life, and I don't intend to do so. But every platform that I take, be it political, be it social, be it cultural, be it for students, I always say and wind up and end up saying that my God has brought me here. Someone like me who was more of a curse for my parents, if I could be turned around, if I could be given an opportunity so, enormous and huge as this, how much more humbling is it for me that given an opportunity, the world is yours. None of you have been what I have done. You have never, I know. I know what I have done. But I have tried since the year 2004 to try and commit my life to my Creator. Commit your lives as brethren, brothers and sisters, my young friends, to the building of our Creator. And that Creator will ensure that your life is protected, and you and your loving ones and the generations to come will always be secure. This is my experience, my testimony, and my commitment and my conviction before you that let us try, let us build, and in the next 20-25 years, let our people back home actually start living the life that God has actually planned out for us and charted out for us. Thank you. God bless.